Howdy folks, this is volume 2, the second in a series of videos about bikes at my shop and the significance of them and their stories, because I think that pretty much all of them are worth talking about. All of them have an interesting story, and this one is no exception. This is from 1976. It was made by the one and only Bruce Gordon. And one of the more recognizable features of Bruce Gordon's bikes were this seat lug with the binder bolt going through the seat stays and the very, very thinly tapered lugs. He said he didn't do much lug filing. I don't know. I look at these lugs and I see them as being really thin down and beautifully executed. And this is one of his really, really early bikes. In the early 70s, Bruce Gordon took a frame building course that was offered by another builder by the name of Albert Eisentraut. And then Bruce was so enamored with the frame building process that he wanted to take it on, and he offered Albert Eisentraut some money to buy in to Albert's operation. And so Bruce was Albert's partner till about 1975, maybe 76. And then this was in the East Bay. This is Albert was located in Oakland, California. And then Bruce decided to move up to Eugene, Oregon and start his own thing, because he and Albert had a bit of a falling out. They had way different styles of how they did things. Bruce was a perfectionist and Albert was a pragmatist. And so that said, Albert's made some really beautiful frames too. So this is an example of Bruce striking out on his own and starting his own business. And this might have been one of the first 10 from his Eugene, Oregon shop. It's a road racing bike. It was made for a woman who was racing in Texas. And I guess the original fork broke. So instead of building her a new fork, Bruce said, "I'll give you the money back." And he got the frame back. And it's been hanging in his shop ever since. So when Bruce was liquidating his shop, he was closing down, I looked through his warranty wall and there were all these frames back there covered in grime, and they were all pretty huge because they were all like his size, and he was about 6'2" and all legs. And I thought, well, there's no way he's going to have one that fits me. And then I looked and I saw one that was just covered in grime. I mean, the thing was brown, but it looked like it was my size. So I took it out, I started wiping it off and went, oh my God, it's pink. How strange. I thought, do I really want to have a pink frame? I went, well, you know, I really want to have a Bruce Gordon bike. I mean, he was the inspiration for me getting involved in frame building in the first place, back in the late 70s. So I showed it to him. I said, hey, Bruce, how much you want for this? And Bruce and I had become friends. And he said, oh, how about $20? I said, Bruce, that's ridiculous. I mean, you built this frame, you know, because I knew in the late 70s, his frames were $590 some odd. So I said, how about $500? He said, oh, that's ridiculous. That's way too much. He said, $200. And so I said, great. So I bought the frame for $200. I said, well, there's no fork. He said, yeah, the original fork broke. I said, well, you got any fork blades? And he did. He had these fork blades, which were already raked and already had the dropouts brazed in his style, as you can see, which matches the back end. So all I needed to come up with is this Chinelli MC crown, which I got from another frame builder by the name of Richard Sachs, and a Columbus steerer, which I had. And I built the fork, and then I had my painter match this faded 1976 Giro d'Italia pink, and he did a very good job. I also had him touch up the chainstay because it was all kind of dinged up. And unlike a lot of the bikes that are hanging up in my shop, this one has miles on it. I have ridden this bike quite a bit. I took most of my really best parts that I had, the Super Record stuff from the 80s, and put it on there. It doesn't have a Campagnolo crank because I was riding it in the Eroica and I wanted to have a lower gear. Campagnolo inner ring is a 42, and this is a Dura-Ace EX from the same time period, and it has a 39. So I was able to ride all the hills that people were walking up. And this bike has really wacky geometry. It's like a 72 seat angle and about a 74 head angle. And I thought, how am I going to ride this thing? It's going to be terrifying. Well, it isn't. I was dropping people on the downhills. I was just kind of shocked. It works. I don't know why, you know? I mean, the numbers shouldn't add up, but for some reason or other, this bike just rides great. And it was something I'd always wanted. I'd always wanted a Bruce Gordon bike. And I finally got one from the man himself. And pretty cheap too. I mean, these things have a pretty high price on the market. I haven't seen one quite like this. I think this one's just, it's not quite as pretty as his later bikes. I mean, he was still figuring out what he wanted to do at the time he built this one, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so almost all Campagnolo stuff. Ooh, I have a 28 spoke front wheel. Definitely not period correct. These are not Campagnolo shifters. These are Simplex retro friction shifters, which are positively the best down tube shifters on the planet. They really exist. And then that sticker, the painting special sticker was on it. I think it was Painting Specialties. That was the paint shop that Bruce was using. This Gorilla sticker, I don't know where that came from. I might have put that on. But I mean, look at that seat lug. I mean, this is the Bruce Gordon seat lug amongst frame builders is a legendary thing, and so many people have tried to copy it. And there really isn't anybody, I think, who's done a very good job of copying it, except for one guy in Texas who built frames under the Gallus, G-A-L-L-U-S name. He did a very nice like tribute to Bruce Gordon. He was definitely a fan. But you can see how old this frame is. It's unusual that it has two sets of bottle mounts, but that was because this was a bike racer. She was doing some long rides in a hot climate. And it has old above the bottom bracket cable guides and an old Diverbill cable stop. Definitely 70s type of frame building hardware. Nothing fancy on the brake bridge, just brazed on there, you know. As far as Bruce Gordon bikes go, this is a very simple one, but it's pretty cool. I'm super proud to own it, and I really have fun riding it. And how I got it, you know, from the man himself when he was closing his business, is something I'll never forget. And it wasn't that long after that he passed away. And I miss him. I really do. And a lot of people do. He was curmudgeonly. He was very moody. Sometimes he would really rip you apart if he's in a bad mood. But I don't know. His sense of humor was great. It was super intelligent, and he's very artistic. His frames are probably some of the most beautiful frames ever created by anybody in the history of cycling, I feel. Oh, here's another detail. This pump, it looks like a Silca Impero. It's actually a copy of a Silca Impero and made out of titanium for Bruce Gordon. He actually offered these for a while. And my guess it was somewhere around a $300 pump back in the day. It's on loan from a friend of mine. He lent it to me to ride the Eroica in. And I actually don't think I got a flat tire, so I never used it, but apparently it works just fine. Yeah, so here you go, 1976 Bruce Gordon. So stay tuned for more videos about bikes in my shop and the stories of how I got them, because it's some pretty deep stuff in terms of bicycle nerdiness. Thanks for watching.